Yep.
All right, a three, two, one, go. Good luck, guys. One, go. Good luck, guys.
All right, so we're going to deafen their audio in Discord, and we'll get a bit of game audio from each of them. There we go. You heard a little bit of my voice in the background, but I think we are all good to go now. So you should be getting game audio right now from FootCream's run. He's heading into Creeper Woods, and obviously the start of this run basically involves getting out of the tutorial as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah, and that has become its own speedrun in itself recently. People race to get under 4 seconds. Very, very hard to do. But that is neither here nor there.
Yeah. It's I hear that when I'm in Mifa's runs ever. It's always like sub 3. That's good. Or there's a lot of art to it, I think, because seconds I think separate some of these higher level runs, especially. So you're always going to find that there are a few things that trip you up early. Apparently my audio is off a little bit, so I'm going to just open my audio settings and add a little bit to that. Okay, that should be fine, I think.
Yeah, right now, as of this morning, actually, the top 3 runs on the leaderboard are within 15 seconds of each other, I believe, or it
Yeah.
might be 18 seconds. So really, any second you can save at any point is really crucial. And there was
And
actually a skip we found last night where you can very easily skip the end of level dialogue, and maybe we'll see someone do it towards the end. It saves
yeah, so
about 5 seconds.
So do you want to explain a little bit about the levels that they're running through right now? Because, of course, we are running on what's technically a random seed. The runners have never seen this before, but they are both running on the same seed, right? So they're effectively running through the same orientation of all of the tiles that make up the level.
Yeah, it's the same seed for both runners. They are randomly generated seeds, but they get they both get the same randomly generated seed. And what is the same is the layout of the levels and the type of mobs that show up on the level. What is different is what items drop from those mobs and the locations that the mobs run to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're always going to get a slightly different level, even if the level itself, the layout of the landscape and everything is the same. We're already seeing a bit of a difference in strategy here, with FootCream not going for vendor strats and Remy going for it. So in theory, FootCream is ahead right now, but depending on the items you get from the vendor, having rescued the vendor from that early spot in Creeper Woods means you effectively have more access to stuff later on. You manage to get a bunch of emeralds and you can buy good gear. If you don't get Boots of Swiftness as early as you want to, then you could potentially buy a set from the vendor.
That's correct. You can also buy armor that has swift-footed, which is our fastest armor enchantment that we can get. You can also get a torment quiver, and we have a glitch that kind of broke the game first of all these crazy game-breaking glitches, and it involved
I
the torment quiver.
I have seen this, and I'm very excited for it, because Mifa didn't get to show it off at GDQ,
Yeah.
but there was a couple of other things that kind of contributed to that, like, I don't know, the Nameless one not spawning.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And the nameless one can drop a torment quiver, so it was another opportunity kind of gone to get the torment quiver.
Yeah.
So what's really kind of surprising about FootCream not going for the vendor is, he really needs a lot of really good pieces to make up for the fact that he doesn't have vendor. Like, things need to go really well for him. It does
Yeah.
take 45 seconds to unlock the vendor, so it is a 45-second head start. And if you also add the time it takes to go to the vendor after every level, it probably is about a minute to a minute and a half of time saved by not unlocking the vendor. But things need to go very, very right.
Yeah, so if FootCream doesn't see Boots at the end of this level, he might end up going for a backup character, which is something that each of the runners has. There's a preset character save that basically gives you a set of boots, but again, does not unlock the vendor.
Yeah, correct. And so it's a big risk to do it. FootCream tried to do the end of level dialogue skip, messed it up a couple times, ended up losing maybe 2 or 3 seconds trying it, but hopefully we'll get to see it at another point.
Meanwhile, you can see Remortals currently on the way to finishing up the level. Let's see what FootCream gets, and it's a tasty bone. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, he knows. this
Yeah.
is slow. And without vendor and with the tasty bone, this is pretty brutal.
Yeah, so even having run this game pretty casually, I know that the Deathcap Mushroom and the Swiftness Boots are the two other things you can get from Creeper Woods. Both of those guarantee a small speed increase. The Boots of Swiftness are obviously a little bit better, but Deathcap Mushroom makes you attack faster and makes you a little bit faster on your feet. So not seeing either of those is going to be potentially costly here. Although the Wolf can at least help you through some of these early clusters of mobs.
Yeah, Tasty Bone is. Oh, Remy gets a boot of swiftness, so he's probably going to catch up in this next level.
Yeah.
Oh, found a really good bow. Chose to not take it. Interesting. Now hopping into Cacti Canyon. So yeah, FootCream's in a little bit of trouble here. Fortunately, he is quite a bit ahead. And what the dog bone also offers you is extra experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't get many levels in this run, so you need to use your enchantment points very intelligently. So the more levels you can get, the better off you are.
Yeah, yeah. So it could be everything still to play for, and I wonder if FootCream is maybe going for the kind of best of three angle here, where even if you don't necessarily get super great items on the first run, you might be able to get a completely different set the second time around. None of these things are guaranteed, and it is effectively a 1 out of 3 chance that you get any of the items at the end of Creeper Woods, right? So statistically speaking, you should see a Deathcap Mushroom and a Boot of Swiftness on the next 2 runs.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Also, FootCream, I think, in my opinion, is our most technically sound runner in the entire community. So I think he's depending on his ability to just, no matter what, quickly get through levels, even if it is a tasty bone. Either way, it's a risk to not take the vendor, and then getting the tasty bone is kind of the culmination of that risk. So we'll
I
see
was
how it
so
plays out.
I was so mad, by the way, when I saw people activate that beacon from underneath the tower. I thought, why have I been wasting my time going up to the top of that tower
Yeah.
when you can just stand underneath the scaffold and just click it?
Yeah, very good question. It looks like FootCream's timer is actually doing his level time and not his total time.
Oh, okay, right. So we might have to get a total time from him at the end of the run. Yeah. So for folks watching in the chat who might be a little bit confused, Minecraft Dungeon speedrunners typically time the run by the time it takes to effectively add up all of the individual levels, and this discounts load times because different people have different PC hardware, and sometimes some of the top runners just don't have a PC that can load the game as fast as others, and they wouldn't want that to put them at a huge disadvantage. So effectively they have the splits and the timers set up so that the timer pauses whenever loading screens are in effect. It'll unpause when you're at camp and when you're in a level, but the rest of the time it'll be paused so that it doesn't take into account loading times. And so when in the rules it says runs are timed without loads, that is what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, Remy is catching up quite a bit with that boot. They're kind of getting really close together now. FootCream does have a couple good pieces of gear. He has a level 7 piece of armor. One thing that's also important is increasing your power level, because if you enter a stage at a certain power level, you get offered higher level gear. But if you have vendor and you enter the camp at a higher power level, the stuff offered from the vendor is a higher power level. So it's really important to keep increasing your power level as much as possible.
Yeah. And so now we're seeing the two runners more or less approaching the same point. FootCream keeping pretty steady pace. At what point do we want to talk about some of the newer strats that have evolved over the last few days? Because I've been in the Discord with you guys, and some really interesting new stuff has kind of split the category now.
Yeah.
We're looking at any percent level, no level skip runs, but there was a level skip glitch discovered recently that has effectively like cut down runtime to less than half. And it also factors in a little bit to the difficulty you mentioned and the point at which you need certain power levels to go into certain stages, because the level skip also allows you to load up a stage at difficulty level 1 regardless of where it is in the adventure.
Yeah, it's an absolutely wild skip, actually. I cannot believe it exists. So we found ways to completely skip levels and bypass prerequisites to get into certain levels. So right now the run is about 15 minutes. The record right now is 14:28, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, what you do, it's a mixture of controller and mouse and keyboard, and that's we've been finding a lot of funky stuff with the controller, mouse, and keyboard combo recently. And so what you can do, you can skip into a level, and we go from Creeper Woods into Desert Temple, which is convenient because you can find Boots of Swiftness in both of those levels. And then you go into Obsidian Pinnacle. And all of those levels are at difficulty level 1, which makes them way easier and makes for kind of like a bite-sized version of this run that you're seeing now.
Yes. So what we're seeing is the runners will be going through, I think, 7 total levels.
Yeah, 7 levels.
And in the level skip version of the run, you can complete it within 4, and that's only really so that you get certain items that are usually good strats for bosses later on.
Yeah, it is actually possible to complete the game in 3 levels, But because you don't get the speed items or the Torment Quiver, it's actually slower to complete it in 3 levels.
Who knows what truths and treasures
And we're looking at FootCream completing Cacti Canyon right now and heading back to camp, but Remortals really not that far behind, using those creepers pretty well to take out the remaining mobs on the scene, and there should only be 1 or 2 waves of this left before he can exit the level as well.
Yeah, he's
there
not
we go.
far behind at all.
There we go. All right. And so you saw...
I wish the total timer was up. Actually, from the timer on FootCream stream, we can see how far behind Remortals is. So right now he's about 20 seconds behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes 40 seconds to unlock the vendors, so there was about a 20-second time save so far, having the boot versus the Tasty Bone.
And that can make all the difference coming into Desert Temple.
Desert Temple is a huge pivot point of any run. Runs are made or broken in Desert Temple. There's boots available, there's Torment Quiver, lots of pigs, lots of opportunities for gear upgrades, so any good run has a good Desert Temple.
Yep, and it looks like, yeah, Remortals is definitely starting to close the field at this point. You can see them sort of getting to the same levels. And once again, these are still the same level layouts for both runners. So it's really just a matter of finding the right line through here. And we'll start to see some interesting stuff. We'll see if anybody starts to take over from the other as we go here. But again, it's all going to rely on technical ability as well. It's going to rely on avoiding some of those traps and just making sure that you can skip through the mobs at areas where they're going to choke you out. There are a couple of mandatory checkpoint fights in this level as well, so there's going to be an ambush coming up fairly soon that both of the runners will have to deal with.
Yeah, there's quite a few ambushes throughout the game. And actually, this level is okay for FootCream having the Tasty Bone because of the amount of ambushes. For a level like Fiery Forge, great find by FootCream finding that Purple Storm. It has an increased fire rate. I didn't get a chance to look at the enchantments of the Purple Storm, but that's a great opportunity for FootCream to maybe catch up, is having a good bow.
Yeah, me neither. That went fast so quickly, and the amazing thing to me is how quickly you guys are able to see whether something has the enchantments you want. You've got to be looking at exactly the right place in the screen and waste as little time as possible in the menu to really make sure that doesn't slow down your run. But I can't check gear that fast. I suppose after the amount of repetition speedrunners go through to really kind of hone a run like this, you tend to get used to looking for the stuff that you want.
Yeah, there's, certain flashes of light that mean different things, and you just open it as quickly as possible, and you really know exactly what you're looking for. It's pretty much only Swiftfoot. Anything else is just not all that useful. But there's a couple enchantments that are also the color blue. So you just have to be able to quickly see which blue flash of light you were shown.
When do you normally take time to menu in these runs? Because I expect there are a couple of points. Like now, you'll see FootCream menuing just to make sure there's favorable enchantments on that bow. Looks like he's got Accelerate, which means he'll be able to... he'll be able to fire arrows super fast.
And FootCream is the best clicker I've maybe ever seen. I don't know how he clicks so fast. And what's great about the Purple Storm with Accelerate is that the Purple Storm has an increased fire rate already, so it achieves its maximum speed way quicker than other bows. So really, really good find. This is really fast for FootCream right now. He's
effectively min-maxing that bow's primary ability. That's a pretty good piece of luck.
Yeah, definitely good, and he needed it because right now Remortals is on the same ambush fight as FootCream.
Yes.
But it looks like FootCream's done with the ambush and actually still ahead at this point. It looks like this bow is going to be really, really crucial to keep FootCream in this game.
I don't think either player seems to have got a Torment Quiver yet either, so it looks like we're not going to see a one-shot on the Nameless one right now. A couple of really interesting...
actually.
There's a couple of places where it can come up.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Ooh, FootCream's going to die here, yeah. So this is a pretty tough hallway to pass, actually. There's 2 Necromancers there, spawning a lot of small minions. So with this invulnerability, maybe FootCream can pass, but this is an opportunity where... Okay, made it pass clean.
Yeah, there's let me tell you, those Necromancers are the worst even if you're playing this game casually, because if you're not like high enough power level on some of your gear, if you're just not quite sure how the game works, Desert Temple is a wall even for people who aren't speedrunning this game. There is a lot that can go wrong for you here, and a lot of retries happen on this level, I think.
Remy died in the exact same spot, so it shows you the consistency of these seeds. That is very hard to pass. With the Boot of Swiftness, it's a lot easier to pass. And one thing that you get used to as a speedrunner is finding the very small pathways between minions that you can pass through. So, you know, with a boot of swiftness, it becomes a lot easier to get those gaps before they close.
Looks like we are headed for the nameless one, and I
Oh,
think
Remortals has to skip this pig. Oh, that's so unfortunate. That could hold a torment quiver. It could hold another boot. It could hold an upgraded weapon. There's so many opportunities. Oh, and he has to bypass it. That is really unfortunate.
yeah, you can see him shrugging it off at this point and going, well, what have I got to do
Oh,
except
that's
just
terrible.
run for the boss? Yeah, that's a real shame. A little bit of a speed advantage, but without that extra gear, you won't be able to press the advantage quite yet. And FootCream absolutely destroying Nameless One from a distance with that accelerate bow.
Yeah, this is going really well right now for FootCream. He found a corner. If you use this column like this, the Nameless One doesn't hit you with his shot, but you can hit him, and he keeps on shooting you.
And the only thing you've got to deal with then is the Skeleton Guard, who are pretty slow moving most of the time. They can hit you from range, but they are, for the most part, like pretty predictable in how they move.
Absolutely. And actually, one thing you can do with them is allow them to hit you, and it moves you out of the way of the Nameless One's shots if you time it right. So you can just sit there and just spam your arrows as the spear guards are kind of hit, or the vanguards are hitting you out of the way.
That is some next level stuff. And are we? Yep, we're seeing the end of cutscene skip there as well. There's the dialogue skip. Very nice.
So that was a 556 Desert Temple without a boot. That is not terrible at all.
Oh, and he has a boot from
And
the
now there's the
loot
boot.
chest at the end. There it is. Okay, so we're already going to start to see FootCream putting some distance between himself and Remortals at this point.
Now, both runners found a really good melee weapon. FootCream has the Venom Glaive, which looks like it's a pretty high level, and Remortals has the Eternal Knife, which actually gains souls quicker. So if Remortals finds a Torment Quiver here, it's a really good opportunity for Remortals to pull ahead.
When I was playing this game casually, I really didn't favor the short-range slow weapons at all. I really liked keeping enemies at a distance, and then later on I was a lot happier when I had faster weapons at close range. So I really liked the melee weapons, like the gauntlets and stuff that you get later on.
Yeah, gauntlets are great.
But in this case...
Swiftfoot. Oh, this is trouble now for FootCream.
Okay, we have a Swiftfoot armor. That is, once again, the fastest armor it is possible to get, unless you have, I guess... what is the evocation robe? Is that the...
Yeah, it gives you a 15% move speed aura as the evocation robe. Archer's armor does it as well. But Swiftfoot is actually faster than just an evocation robe.
Yeah, sure. So if it had Swiftfoot on an evo robe, that'd probably be the fastest. But we're looking at maybe the second fastest option for Immortals to start closing the gap right now.
This is the fastest kind of single piece option for speed. It's just a Swiftfoot. But with FootCream having a boot and the Purple Storm, which is still really, really good, I think this is neck and neck right now. We're gonna have to see what the loadless time is for FootCream at the end.
Yeah, you're seeing them hit different objectives. It looks like they're doing the same thing, but there's actually 2 areas in this level where you have to free villagers. So FootCream is on the second of the 2 that has slightly more targets to hit around this room, but they are really not too far apart from each other at this stage.
Oh, just one objective apart right now. And this level's really, really short. Oh, wow. Rough seed, actually. So
Yeah,
those
the
cubes that
spawner's
spawn
right there.
minions, they can completely block paths, or they can be completely out of the way. It's just, no. There's no telling.
Looks like FootCream got a Shadow Brew heading into that room, which probably took the mobs off him for a fraction of a second. And this is...
also deals additional damage if you attack melee out of it.
This is also possibly the most annoying thing for anybody who's played this game casually, seeing somebody take down the Redstone Golem boss this easily. Because this arena is full of lava and things that can damage you, and the Redstone Golem also spreads those proximity mines everywhere, so it can become a real pain to navigate. Unfortunately, speedrunners just kind of stand in his hitbox and hit him a whole bunch, and he goes down very, very quickly.
And sometimes, depending on your gear, it's actually faster to let the Redstone Golem kill you if you have a mushroom. So if you use the duration of your mushroom and you damage the golem, and then you respawn, you get the mushroom back. So sometimes that's a strategy that we implement sometimes in really desperate times.
Yeah, and if you've got the lives to spare after what could otherwise be a fairly rough redstone mine. FootCream now heading into Fiery Forge, so we've got one more...
as well.
Oh, there we go. All right, he's they are really starting to kind of concertina each other right now, because you could see them closing the gap from each other, and then FootCream getting the lead once again.
Yeah, for sure. Remy does have an insane melee weapon right now. It's a level 12 knife, which is a really good level. That's all you need for this entire run. And it has Echo. And Echo is really insane. It lets you attack twice in a very short period of time. So if you have a strong weapon doing echo, you're dealing so much damage. Evo
Yeah,
Robe with cooldown, not good enough.
cooldown. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's what I would be going with if I was playing this. But again, not up on the strategies that are required to get through a run like this.
FootCream actually did a whole video on enchantments and kind of speed items and what the fastest ones are, and so we kind of did our research through his research. So
let's talk a little bit about the resources available to anybody who's interested in taking up Minecraft Dungeons speedrunning, because there's obviously been a lot of development with new strats coming through in the community lately, but from what I've seen in the Discord, there's like a really cool list of resources for people wanting to get into speedrunning this game. It seems like a really like well thought out run at this stage.
Yeah, for sure. If you go to speedrun.com/MCD and join the Discord, we have a public resources section of the Discord that has everything you'll ever need to know about speedrunning any category of this game on console, PC, mouse and keyboard, controller, setting up set seed if you want to run specific seeds for individual level times. Any type of run that you could possibly want to do, we have the resources for, and a really active community to help you set anything up.
Looks like the cores are in a pretty favorable pattern from what I can tell, or maybe that's just FootCream's experience coming to bear. Yeah,
these are fantastic cores.
If you can go through this area, basically ticking off all the cores as you go, and then find that exit fast, that is a very quick way through the level. Some of them you have to double back, and I remember getting pinned by enemies so many times going through there because the cores weren't just all in like a convenient cluster or in a line. So yeah, looks like this seed was pretty good for that.
Definitely good, really like set seed level cores that we just saw. Very, very good cores. So Remy actually having a little bit of trouble getting through. I have a feeling that his armor maybe is not as strong as FootCream's, and that's why he's taking a couple extra deaths. Opting to not take the pig, try to improve that armor. So maybe I'm wrong here. Okay, FootCream picked up a great hammer from that pig. FootCream really does like hammers, especially in the next level high block hall, so we'll see if he ends up switching. I do think the Venom Glaive is better, but sometimes in some situations the hammer can be really good. So this Redstone Monstrosity actually has more hit points than the final boss of the game.
Yes, it is a tank. Yeah, and you'll notice there are 4 cores. Basically, the level kind of teaches you to damage enemies with these cores, and then completely ignores that for the boss, because the boss's hitbox for some reason, I played this casually a couple of times, and I tried to do a no weapons run through, and those cores were what I was relying on to damage that boss, and it was just the worst experience trying to get that to work, because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, so you can't really rely on that.
Very, very specific. The timing is really specific in that the Redstone Monstrosity needs to be at the end of a particular animation to get hit more frequently.
Yeah.
So it's very weird. So now
FootCream now moving on to high block halls, which is, I think, where a lot of runs go to die, from what I've heard. If they get out of Creeper Woods, they probably die at high block halls.
It's Creeper Woods, and then if you get a good enough gear in Desert Temple, then you have to make it through high block hall. So this is the first and only level where we are severely under-leveled for, because we can't change the difficulty in this mode. So you really feel if you have less than ideal gear at this point. So FootCream making his way through, very confident in his movement with this level. This is what I'm talking about with FootCream's ability to, move, and probably the most high-skilled runner in our community.
Is this a no ambush seed as well? Because I've seen... Oh, wait, no. Are we coming up on the ambush now?
It's an ambush.
There it is.
And there's some ambush. There's one ambush setup that is skippable if you have a feather. Unfortunately, neither runner has a feather at this point, so there won't be any skips unless Remortals finds one in the at the vendor.
And this is where we're going to see a pretty big time loss regardless, I think, because, anything that just prevents you from progressing through the rest of the level is going to cost you time. But once again, if both runners being on the same seed, that's presumably not going to slow them down too much.
Yeah,
compared to each other.
At the same time, for sure. And FootCream has slightly better battle gear, I think, so FootCream should get through this ambush a little bit quicker. And as we see with Remy right now, he does not have the same high-quality bow that FootCream has, and that's why the Redstone Monstrosity is taking a while.
Yeah, he's actually having to go in and deal melee damage to it instead of just, like, powering through it from a distance.
Yeah. His Soul Knife is really good with the Echo, so he dealt with that as fast as possible with the gear that he has, but it is unfortunate that he didn't have a better way to deal with that. Really tried to make use of the cores as well. This is kind of a scary spot for FootCream. This is an easy way to die. Leaving this ambush is the scariest ambush on high block for sure. The enemies spawn so close together. The archers can hit you from the higher elevation. Very, very scary. Good use of the firework there to take care of most of those enemies, though.
Remy now leaving Fiery Forge, picking up an Ironhide Amulet, which probably isn't going to be super fast, but probably has a slightly higher power level, so that is potentially going to help with any high-level gear. Also picking up a Torment Quiver if he can get a few more emeralds, which is, I think, probably one of the other constraints of this run is if you've got the vendor, you want to make sure that you've got enough emeralds you can actually buy any of the equipment back at the camp, and it's going to cost you time anytime you want to trade any of those as well. And even looking for an extra chest full of emeralds that you get unlocked in the camp from for beating certain levels, just so he can have enough to afford that Torment Quiver, which is barely scrapes by. And
now, this Torment Quiver is crucial for high block, because as I mentioned before, you're severely underleveled for high block. So the quickest way to defeat these guards here is to use the Torment Quiver, and we'll show you what that looks like in a second. I'm really excited to show off this glitch.
Yes, it's super cool, and having seen it once again, this is one of the things that I was really mad that I didn't know existed once it became a thing. Obviously, it relies on enchantments and items. I mean, the Torment Quiver, I think, has been in the game since the beginning, but Dynamo, the enchantment that really kind of stacks with the Torment Quiver to produce this glitch, wasn't added to the game until, I think, 1.4?
1.4, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why you find these runners actually running on an earlier version of the game than the current version for a couple of reasons. One being, I think that Vindicator's attack is slightly different, and they can hit you even if you're running away from them, which is kind of crucial, especially in those earlier levels. But then
they follow you as they attack, and that's different than here where they attack and stop. It's so brutal.
But then, obviously, if you've got an earlier patch, obviously you can take advantage of glitches that may have been found more recently and patched. That, in this case, yep, FootCream taking a death there, but
very rough seed here at this point.
Yeah, it's just the hallway swarming with all of those Vindicators and Royal Guards. You're having to bait them into specific areas so that you can roll away and give yourself some room.
Yep, very well played. Fortunately, FootCream was able to hit a very important checkpoint for a respawn, and that's the only reason he was able to get through that. If he didn't hit that checkpoint and kind of take that death where he did, he would have been put further back, and it wouldn't have worked out nearly as well.
I remember being very annoyed at getting debated by that obsidian chest in the middle there, and then all of the guards appearing around you and not being able to get back up onto the ledge. But then it turns out you can just roll off it. And that...
so Remy is showing the glitch now. He just did it for the first time.
All right.
So when you roll and you have Dynamo on your bow, you get a stack of Dynamo, which does a certain amount more damage on your next shot. He's going to show it off here against these guards. And then Torment Quiver deals extra damage as well. Now, there's something interesting in the coding of the game where there's a decimal point wrong somewhere, and it does so much exponentially more damage than it should. So it one-shots almost anything.
Yeah, I've seen this one-shot bosses when I've been watching some of these runners, and it is a sight to behold. And you can kind of see it there when there's like a flash of light and all of these beams coming out of it. That is Dynamo activating, and it absolutely wrecks anything that it comes into contact with. Which, with a Torment Quiver that can go through enemies, the arrows actually pierce and carry on to the targets behind them. That can clear rooms full of stuff very easily. So it's not just a boss one-shot, it's also getting yourself out of some very tight places, which is going to become very useful, as we've seen from FootCream's run so far.
Definitely useful. Now, there's another glitch that doesn't look like we're going to be... Oh, he just found a scatter bow. So the scatter bow enables you to infinitely shoot Torment Quivers or fireworks. There's a very specific way you have to click. It's like a left click followed by, or a right click followed by a left click very quickly. And you can infinitely... So what Remy's choosing to do is he's going to do infinite scatters, but he's not going to have the Dynamo attached. So he's not going to get the extra damage, but he's going to have a very safe way to get through these very dangerous hallways coming up. Ooh, choosing not to do it, though? Why? Oh,
yep.
No.
And not quite able to grab the food from the buffet in time, it looks like.
I think that was a good opportunity to use the infinite torment glitch, but I think there was some hesitation, fear that he might lose it. Unfortunately, when you have Torment active and you die, you do lose the souls that you use to get that.
Yeah, sure. So you've got to balance that stuff pretty carefully, I imagine. And a lot of what you're seeing is runners having to react on the fly to all of the gear that they've gotten throughout the run, and making these split-second decisions, especially when sitting there and wondering which strategy to use, can cost you time. You can see it's going to be yeah, a little bit tricky to complete this level if you've not got ultimate confidence in your strategy.
Remy on Last Chance really should be taking advantage of the Infinite Torment glitch a little bit more to get through these hallways safely. I guess just really not feeling confident that he's able to hold on to it. The Death Cap Mushroom is a good find.
Yeah, I was going to say he did. He did pick up that Death Cap, which increases your attack speed as well as your movement speed. And being chased around the room by a bunch of enemies in this level, you might need a little extra movement speed as well.
And also Remy is on Last Chance, so he has no more opportunities for mistakes here and has to stay very clean throughout this fight. I believe FootCream is also on Last Chance, so this is a really close race right now. If either of them die at any point, it's pretty much game over.
Which is pretty easy to do, given, like you said, they are very underpowered going into this level.
Very, very underpowered.
All right, well, Remy's just started the fight that FootCream is now finishing, and once that gateway lowers, he'll be off to Obsidian Pinnacle to take on the Arch Illager.
Trying to do the dialogue skip, able to save probably a second doing that. Very nice, very nice. So Remy here, not using Dynamo, but very, very consistently doing the infinite glitch. It is, over time, more damage to keep your Torment if you're not confident that you can just rebuild your Torment immediately.
I think between runs, I'm also going to add your name on the screen as co-commentator right now, because there's a few people in the chat asking who I'm in voice with. This is Yomcool TV, who is another one of the runners you'll be seeing in action tomorrow, but has very kindly donated his time tonight to explain what on earth's going on the screen for you guys.
I know there's a lot to unpack here.
So Obsidian Pinnacle has some really interesting strats involved if the seed is right, because depending on the geometry of the levels here, you can actually get onto those logs on the side of the level and roll to different areas, skipping specific fights, and sometimes even ambushes that can potentially cost you about a minute's worth of time just dealing with the enemies that will spawn in waves. So depending on how the level is laid out, we could see FootCream saving some time on the average Obsidian Pinnacle run here, but it looks like this one is... for now, at least, kind of giving him a bit of trouble, took an early death. And there we go. You can see it now getting onto these... yep, lining that up. And, oh, looks like he's got stuck. And, yep, he can roll out of it. Great. Yeah. That's... I've attempted stuff like that a couple of times, and I've often ended up assuming that I can't do what I was trying to do. Is that a tactical roll there? Nope, it looks like he is dealing with the ambush.
Yep, that is not a skippable ambush, unfortunately. And, you know, FootCream is also really, really great at finding skips and probably knows more skips than anyone else at this level. This is a very knowledge-heavy level to be very fast at, and if you know all the skips and you get the right seed, you can finish this level so quickly. Like, maybe like 3 minutes and 30 seconds is like an insanely fast time, but like 4 minutes, if you know everything, is pretty average.
I think one of the coolest things about playing this game casually is noticing how different the levels can be each time, and a lot of time that's simply them just rotating the geometry, so you get a different perspective on some of these ambush levels. I often remember approaching this section that FootCream is at right now, where you have to power these two beacons. I remember approaching that from basically the bottom right, and then activating the beacons in the top left and top right. FootCream has basically a 90-degree rotation of that, so the exit is in basically the lower left direction instead of the upper left direction, and so that alone can change the geometry of the level to the point where you can't skip through certain areas of it because you don't have the right logs to run on the side, or, you know, for whatever reason the layout of the level just means you can't skip over stuff. Going for a corridor skip right now, which, oh yeah, there we go, he's made it, and that was that was very well executed. That's something that I've tried to do occasionally as well, and that corridor is just full of nasty stuff. It's very tight quarters, some very nasty mobs in there, a couple of redstone golems and evokers and stuff that can really corner you, so he's done very well to avoid that.
Skipping is usually ideal. It's not 100% of the time faster, but it usually is. And there's a bunch of invisible walls, making that skip a little bit harder. So that's why the lineup is pretty precise there. Here's another little skip from FootCream. You can hop onto these barrels, and then you can roll over. That saves quite a bit of time, actually.
And so having skipped that corridor, FootCream is on his way up to the stairs that lead to the final boss arena, and it looks like he's hitting them right about now. So aside from a few enemies to avoid here, the only thing he has to worry about is taking down the Arch-Illager and reaching that final cutscene.
Yeah, it's definitely close to the end. Those stairs are very dangerous. He made them look very easy. That is a high death point for a lot of runners. That gets very, very tight, especially at this difficulty.
So FootCream using what levels he still has to up his swift-footed and accelerate enchantments, and it looks like the Arch-Illager is going to be taken down pretty fast. He's getting the bow up to speed, has plenty of arrows for this fight, and once again, anybody who has played this game casually and had trouble on this boss fight is going to see a very, very easy takedown. That is phase 1. All of the ads get destroyed, and we're looking at a very quick phase 2 in a second as well.
Very confidently holding his ground, though he was at low life. Really, you really have to know how much damage you're going to take from certain enemies, and FootCream really showing how great he is at this game.
Allowing the laser to just pass over him, and there it is. Okay, we got a kill. He's not going to worry about any of the drops or anything, because these are all slow burner characters. Drops are slow, exactly. And that is time. That is time for FootCream's run. So obviously, once again, these runs are being timed individually and are being timed based on based on the loadless time. So we're still going to wait for Remortals to finish up a little bit here. But it looks like
I do think that even though we don't see FootCream's time, we can probably call it and end this first game, unless we want to let Remortals finish.
I feel like for the first run, we should at least let both of the runners finish for now, and then in future runs, maybe we can implement the mercy rule and call it a little bit early.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's really close too, so we're not really not spending too much time here watching Remortal.
Remortal's not going for the corridor skip, or maybe missing the corridor skip and just deciding to run rather than spend time setting that one up. I'm going to switch to Remortals' audio now that FootCream is done.
One thing to note is that Remy is our best hardcore runner, which is another category we have where you actually don't use your health potion at all. And there's a lot of like healing enchantments and artifacts that you're not allowed to use. You're only allowed to use food. So a lot of Remy's running strategy and running ability comes from, kind of being carefully slow. And so skipping that corridor may have been an active choice, because on this particular patch, it might be harder to get that skip. And, as a hardcore runner, you just run different patches and do things a little bit differently.
And Remy employing the feather to try and get over those barrels there as well. That's another interesting thing about this game, is it gives you a bunch of interesting ways to exploit movement. And the is it the light feather? I forget what the actual artifact is called. Yeah, but it's an interesting way of getting around, because it does give you a little bit of extra jump height and jump distance whilst also stunning enemies. So that can be kind of useful for getting around some of the geometry and also dealing with these larger groups that Remy is facing right now.
Yeah, the feather is responsible for our ability to skip many things, because as you mentioned, it gives you jump height, which the regular roll does not give you. Ooh, pushed off the edge. He's on last chance right now. Has to be very, very careful. Yeah,
this Arch-Illager boss fight can go wrong very, very badly. I think maybe if he takes another death, we might have to call it at this stage.
Yeah, I think so. And also, messing up the Infinite Torment now has it active again. Ooh, please use it.
Yep, there it is. There it is.
Game over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, unfortunate. Oh, he
yeah, that seems like a a bit of a rough end to the run. Yeah. Well, he's got best of 3 to worry about, so we're gonna see we're gonna see another one. Now. Go for it.
If I drop that.
Hello, you're back. You are back in. Hello,
I'm back in.
You are back in.
Hello, FootCream.
Hello.
I can't believe I dropped that.
GG's there. Very, very well played. Very risky strategy not taking the vendor there, FootCream.
Yeah, that was an accident.
It was an accident that kept you in the lead for a little while there, it looked like. And yeah, we were having a lot of fun seeing the difference in you guys' strategy, and Remy almost closing the gap a couple of times, but then FootCream would just get the thing that you were missing, like a swiftness boot or a swift-footed enchantment, and it just put you just like a little bit ahead each time. So that was a really great like exhibition of our first matchup here. And once again, this is best of 3, so you'll potentially be seeing we're switching to a new seed now, right? So we're going to have a completely different set of level geometry and obviously completely random items once again for these